So Project Bluebeam is this alleged plan to use a combination of holograms and back-engineered, human-made spaceships that look alien to hoax an alien invasion. There was a guy named Wernher von Braun who was like the head of NASA. He was the Nazi rocket scientist who worked for Adolf Hitler. We brought him over here after World War II in Project Paperclip, and we put him in charge of NASA. Allegedly, according to my friend Carol Rosen, who was his spokeswoman, she claims, and I believe her, that she took his deathbed confession, where he was saying that, and this was in, I believe, the 70s, he was saying that this was a plan to, to fake an alien invasion, and it would, scare the crap out of everybody, and everyone would believe it.
And therefore, what would happen? To what end? Why would they do that?
Well, to basically take over the world. It would be
he's a Nazi.
It would be every country lining up and saying, handing over trillions of dollars to the military-industrial complex to protect us from evil aliens. So that's Project Bluebeam. We've talked about it in some of our films because we know that false flags have happened or been planned. One of the things that's been declassified is, and unfortunately I don't remember which administration this was, but there was a plan in the 70s to use holograms to fake the second coming of Christ over Cuba, right? This was an official plan that was fortunately never executed. So this is the kind of sick stuff that the military-industrial complex does or thinks about doing. And so I don't know how real Project Bluebeam is or was, but it's an interesting scenario to consider.
Nothing can blow up an internet forum quite like a good old-fashioned New World Order conspiracy theory, and Project Bluebeam is no exception. An idea lifted almost word for word from a novel written by Gene Roddenberry, Project Bluebeam first achieved conspiracy theory status in 1994 via a book written by Serge Monast. In this book, Monast describes a complex collaboration between NASA and the UN to unite the entire world under a new false religion. But how? Well, as far as we've been able to ascertain, the theory is largely based around these two evil organizations working alongside the Antichrist and using unspecified advanced technology to project a falsified production of the second coming of Christ into the sky. This projection would apparently cause everyone in the world to abandon their beliefs and fall into line under the same New World Order religion. Although this is an idea that is so insane it was initially rejected as an idea for an episode of Star Trek, proponents of Monast's book claim to have found references that predicted the recent COVID-19 outbreak, and so sadly support for Project Bluebeam is once again on the rise.
Pentagon released its report on UFO sightings today, saying an additional 366 sightings have been investigated since 2021.
No, they're lying. It's Project Bluebeam. Yep, that's right. The NWO's first agenda is going to be eradicate all religions. How are they going to do that? Well, I got Serge Monast's article right here, so let's see what the man himself has to say. They're going to do it by using engineered earthquakes and hoax discoveries. Sound familiar? And what are they going to use these earthquakes for? Well, let me read Serge's own words here. The first step in the NASA Bluebeam project concerns the breakdown of all archaeological knowledge. It deals with the setup with artificially created earthquakes at certain precise locations on the planet, supposedly new discoveries, which will finally explain to all people the error of all fundamental religious doctrines. That's right, they want to rewrite religion. That's right, step two's a doozy, folks. It's a big one. Now, Serge Monast was a smart man. He's much smarter than myself. Maybe that's why I'm having such a hard time understanding what he meant when he wrote this. There are two different aspects of step two. The first is the space show. Where does space show come from? The space show, the holographic images, will be used in a simulation of the ending during which all nations will be shown scenes that will be the fulfillment of that which they desire to verify the prophecies of adversary events. These will be projected from satellites onto the sodium layer about 60 miles above the Earth. We see tests every once in a while, but they are called UFOs and flying saucers sightings. Any of that sound familiar?
This morning, questions after more unidentified objects are discovered over U.S. and Canadian airspace. According to a senior administration official, this latest object was in the shape of an octagon, unmanned, and traveling near sensitive sites at an altitude of 20,000 feet.
They know that these so-called balloon UFOs are just part of the programming. Mainstream media has always been part of the plan. The UFO shoot-downs show the hardest part of discovering alien life may be announcing it. Here's how NASA might break the news. Do you not see, people? This is all conditioning. It's programming. They're getting you ready for something. What is it? Ask yourself. Ask questions. What's this next article? This next article is called What's Up with the UFOs?
There's going to be some information I think we're going to get in the next couple of years. If you listen to talk radio, especially to Coast AM, they're all talking about the fact that, you know, we're going to get this information, declassify the information.
See, folks, there it is. You'd have to be crazy not to believe in UFOs, right?
But we're going to learn a lot more.
But do you think the American public or the world public is ready for something like that? Because it challenges everything they know. If there is life out of there, we're supposed to be the only intelligent life because God created us. Then it brings into question God.
Senator Alford just saying it out loud.
I really think the public will accept this. There's going to be a lot of far religious groups that are going to have problems with this. They're destigmatizing this, is what they're doing. And I found that interesting in that report that was just re-released last month.
Now, I know there may still be some non-believers out there thinking that the government would never use hologram technology to replace God. But then how do you explain this? They're already doing it. Can't you people see that? It's a very confusing name, but I guess, you know what, I'm just going to read it. If it is possible to feed artificial thought into the multigenic field via satellite, the mind control of the entire planet is now possible. I mean, why not just call step 3 mind control? I don't know. Once again, it is wise to consider how television, advertising, modern education, and various types of social pressure are used to manipulate those boundaries. Couldn't be simpler than that, folks. The final step, the grand finale in the NWO's Project Bluebeam plan is none other than universal supernatural manifestations via electronics. I mean, it speaks for itself. Obviously, we all know what that means. We're smart. We get it. But that said, I'm still going to have to, I'm just going to watch a YouTube video about it.
The fourth and final step of Operation Bluebeam involves making humanity think an alien invasion is about to occur at every major city in the world.
So I'm just going to read what Sergey said here. According to many reports we have received, we believe it will begin with some kind of worldwide economic disaster. Not a complete crash, but enough to allow them to introduce some kind of in-between currency before they introduce their electronic cash to replace all paper or plastic money. Come on! Does that sound familiar? Now, folks, if this is the first you're hearing about Project Bluebeam, I can understand if it sounds a little crazy to you. Well, it's a lot to take in, I know. But just know that it's supposed to sound crazy. That's what they want. That's how they keep you from getting to the truth. They might even send your own family after you, but just do what I say. Believe in it harder. Believe in it as hard as you can and never give up on that belief. Your family, your friends, if they call you crazy, that's even more reason to just keep believing. Hide it in your body and keep it there under lock and key, and don't let anyone change it. That's what I'm telling you what to do. And that's how you avoid getting brainwashed.
Josephus said of Nimrod, listen, quote, he gradually changed the government into tyranny to turn men from the fear of God and to bring them into constant dependence on his power, end of quote. Does that sound familiar?
Oh, shit, yeah, it does.
Out of European history comes the Illuminati. That name means enlightened ones. They were a super secret organization of international financial power brokers in Europe, and they had as their goal a worldwide empire, a new world order. Their leadership consisted, listen, of Satanists and atheists. They think they are ready to rule the world. Get serious. I agree with the slogan, get America out of the UN and the UN out of America. There's going to be a new world order, and soon. It's not going to be the socialist utopia that self-serving politicians in Washington, D.C. think it is, that the Marxist professors in America's universities are clamoring for. It's going to be a global dictator and absolute slavery for mankind through the Antichrist.
Yep.